In the gray hum of the city where hurried footsteps drowned out softer sounds, Clara moved with quiet purpose. Each morning, as she walked to her job at the downtown library, she passed a man sitting on a tattered blanket by the corner of 4th and Elm. He was weathered, his coat threadbare, his eyes fixed on some distant point no one else could see. Most people stepped around him, their gazes averted, but Clara saw him. His name, she learned, was Tom. Every day, she left something small by his side, a warm coffee, a wrapped sandwich, a pair of gloves when the wind turned sharp. Sometimes she tucked a note into the bag. "You were seen. You were enough." Tom would nod, his cracked lips forming a faint smile, but he rarely spoke. Clara didn't need words. Her kindness was her language. At the library, her colleagues noticed. They'd see her slip out during breaks, her hands full, and return empty-handed. "You're wasting your time, Clara," said Mark, the head librarian, his voice laced with pity. "That guy's just another drifter. Probably spends your charity on booze." Others chimed in, their words sharp with judgment. "He's a nuisance," said Sarah, who manned the front desk. "You're enabling him. He'll never leave that corner if you keep feeding him." Clara would only smile, her eyes soft but resolute. "He's a person," she'd say simply, and return to her work. Their words stung, but she carried on. She didn't know Tom's story, but she knew he deserved kindness, same as anyone. Tom was a mystery, his past buried beneath layers of silence. Clara noticed the way he held himself, straight-backed, even on his blanket, like a soldier standing guard. His hands, rough as they were, moved with a certain grace when he unfolded her notes, as if he'd once handled delicate things. She wondered about him but never pried. Once when she left a scarf, he looked up and said, "You don't have to do this, you know." His voice was low, gravelly, but carried a weight that made her pause. "I want to," she'd replied, and that was that. She didn't know he'd once been Captain Thomas Everett, a decorated veteran who'd led men through fire, saved lives under impossible odds, and walked away from it all when the weight of loss became too heavy to bear. The world had forgotten him, and he'd let it. Clara's life moved steadily forward. She was up for a promotion at the library, a chance to lead the community outreach program. The library board planned a gala to announce the decision, a glittering event at the city's cultural center. Clara invited Tom, slipping an invitation into his usual lunch bag. "It's just a night," she said, smiling. "You're welcome to come." He looked at the card, his fingers tracing the embossed letters, and nodded. She didn't expect him to show. But that night, as Clara stood in her modest dress, fielding polite small talk from board members, she saw him. Tom, in a borrowed suit that hung loosely on his frame, stood at the edge of the room. His eyes scanned the crowd, nervous but steady. Clara's heart lifted, but before she could cross to him, the room's attention shifted. A group of strangers entered, men and women in crisp uniforms, their chests adorned with medals. An older man, his face lined but proud, stepped forward, holding a folded flag. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Clara's colleagues, Mark and Sarah among them, frowned confused. The older man's voice cut through the murmur. "We're here for Captain Thomas Everett," he said. "A hero who saved our lives in '03, who led us through hell and brought us home." The room fell silent. All eyes turned to Tom, who stood frozen, his jaw tight. Clara's breath caught. The man continued, his voice breaking. "We've been looking for him for years. He disappeared after the war, after losing his family. We thought we'd lost him for good." The group approached Tom, their faces a mix of awe and gratitude. The older man knelt, offering the flag. "You gave us everything, Captain. We honor you." Another stepped forward, a woman with tears in her eyes. "We found you because of her," she said, pointing to Clara. "Your friend, she told a volunteer at the shelter about you, about your kindness. That's how we knew where to look." Clara's eyes widened, her heart pounding. She'd mentioned Tom in passing to a shelter worker, never imagining it would lead to this. The crowd parted, and Tom's gaze met hers, raw with emotion. For the first time, she saw tears in his eyes. Mark and Sarah stood speechless, their earlier judgments hanging heavy in the air. Others who'd scoffed at Clara's naive kindness shifted uncomfortably, their faces flushed with shame. The woman continued, her voice steady now. "Your notes, your food, your care, it kept him going. You reminded him he was worth something when he'd forgotten. You gave him the strength to be found." Clara's throat tightened, tears spilling down her cheeks. Tom stepped forward, his voice quiet but clear. "She saw me when no one else did," he said. "She gave me back my name." The room erupted in applause, but for Clara, the world narrowed to Tom's grateful nod, the weight of his words settling deep in her chest. The gala shifted after that. The board announced Clara's promotion, but the night belonged to Tom. His old comrades surrounded him, sharing stories of his courage, his sacrifices. Clara watched from the sidelines, her heart full. Mark approached her later, his voice low. "I was wrong," he said. I didn't see what you saw. Sarah, too, apologized, her eyes downcast. You changed him, she said. You changed us. Clara only smiled. I just did what felt right, she said. In the weeks that followed, Tom's life transformed. His comrades helped him find a place to stay, a counselor to navigate the pain he'd buried. He began volunteering at the shelter, sharing his story to inspire others. Clara's kindness rippled outward. The library staff, moved by the Gala's events, started a program to support the city's homeless, with Clara at its helm. Passers-by who'd once ignored Tom now stopped to talk, their eyes softer, their hands offering help. Clara still walked by 4th and Elm, but the corner was empty now, Tom's blanket gone. Instead, she'd find him at the shelter, his smile brighter, his shoulders lighter. One day, Tom handed her a note, his handwriting steady. You were seen. You were enough. Clara laughed through tears, tucking it into her pocket. Her small acts had sparked something unstoppable, a chain of compassion that spread through the city. She didn't need the world's approval to know it was worth it. She'd seen Tom's humanity from the start, and in doing so, she'd helped him reclaim it and inspired others to see it, too.